The collision rain hammered against the windshield as Maya Torres gripped the steering wheel, her knuckles white against the black leather. The charity gala had been another exercise in forced smiles and hollow conversations, but the check she'd secured for the children's hospital made it worthwhile. Thunder cracked overhead as she navigated the winding mountain road back to the city. The headlights appeared out of nowhere. Metal screamed against metal. Glass exploded. The world spun in a kaleidoscope of pain and twisted steel before everything went black. When consciousness crept back, Maya tasted blood and smelled gasoline. Her vision swam as she tried to focus on the man pulling her from the wreckage. Strong hands, gentle despite their urgency. Dark hair plastered to his forehead by rain and effort. "Stay with me," he commanded, his voice rough with panic. "Don't you dare close your eyes." She wanted to tell him she was Maya Torres, that people were probably looking for her, that her assistant would be worried. But the words wouldn't come. Only darkness. 3 days later, she woke in a private hospital room with no memory of the past 5 years. The last thing she remembered was being 23, struggling to pay rent, working double shifts at a diner. The woman staring back at her from the mirror wore designer clothes and carried herself with a confidence that felt foreign. "The doctors say it might be temporary," said the man who'd saved her. He introduced himself as Daniel Cross, a paramedic who'd been driving home from his shift when he witnessed the crash. "But right now, you don't remember anything from the accident forward." Maya studied his face. Tired eyes that held secrets. Stubble that suggested he hadn't slept in days. Hands that shook slightly when he thought she wasn't looking. "Why are you still here?" she asked. Daniel hesitated, something flickering across his features. "Because when I pulled you out of that car, you grabbed my hand and said, 'Don't let them find me. I want to know who they are.'" The hospital room felt suddenly smaller. Through the window, Maya could see the city sprawling below, a life she couldn't remember living spread out like a puzzle with missing pieces. "What if I don't want to remember?" she whispered. Daniel moved closer, and she caught the scent of coffee and something darker, more complicated. What if the person you were before the accident isn't someone worth being? Before Maya could respond, the door burst open. A man in an expensive suit strode in, his face a mask of concern that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Maya, thank God you're awake. I'm Richard Sterling, your business partner. We need to talk about the Hartwell deal. There are people asking questions, and if you can't remember the details..." Daniel stepped protectively between them. "She just woke up. She needs time." Richard's smile was sharp as broken glass. "And you are?" "The man who saved her life. How fortunate." Richard's tone suggested it was anything but. "Maya, darling. Surely you remember me. We've been working together for 3 years. Very closely." Maya felt ice form in her stomach as she looked between the two men. One who'd risked his life for a stranger. Another who claimed to know her intimately, but felt like a threat. "I don't remember anything," she said quietly. Richard's mask slipped for just a moment, revealing something cold and calculating. "Well, then I suppose we'll have to help you remember, won't we?" As he left, Daniel turned to her with an expression that made her pulse quicken. "Maya, I need to tell you something about the accident. About why someone might have wanted you to disappear." Dangerous truths, Daniel's apartment was nothing like Maya expected. Sparse, clean, with medical textbooks scattered across a worn kitchen table and photos of disaster scenes pinned to a corkboard. But it felt safer than the hospital, where Richard's visits had become increasingly frequent and unsettling. "Your accident wasn't random," Daniel said, setting a cup of tea in front of her. His fingers brushed hers, and she felt electricity shoot up her arm. The brake lines were cut. Maya's hand trembled as she lifted the cup. "How do you know?" "Because I'm not just a paramedic." Daniel's voice was quiet, careful. "I work with people who need to disappear. People who've seen too much, know too much. And Maya Torres, according to everything I've uncovered about your life, was about to expose something big." The tea tasted like safety and secrets. Outside, rain continued to fall against the windows, creating a cocoon of intimacy that made her heart race for reasons she couldn't name. "What kind of something?" Daniel pulled out a laptop, his movements precise and controlled. "Sterling Industries, money laundering through charity events. Your signature is on dozens of donation records, but the money never reached the intended recipients. Someone was using your reputation to steal millions from causes you genuinely cared about. Maya stared at the screen, at bank records and transfer documents that meant nothing to her broken memory. You think Richard was using me? I think Richard was using you and you found out. Daniel's eyes met hers, intense and searching. I think you were going to the authorities, and someone decided you were too dangerous to live. The room felt suddenly airless. Maya stood, pacing to the window, watching the city lights blur through rain-soaked glass. Why would you help me? You don't even know me. I know enough. Daniel's voice was closer now. She could feel his presence behind her, warm and solid. I know you volunteer at 3 different shelters. I know you've donated more money than most people make in a lifetime. I know you were driving alone from that gala because you refused to let anyone else be put at risk. Maya turned and found herself inches from his chest. This close, she could see the scar running along his jawline, the exhaustion etched around his eyes. There's something else, she whispered. Something you're not telling me. Daniel's jaw tightened. Maya, what is it? The night of your accident, I wasn't just driving home from work. His voice was raw, vulnerable. I was following you. I'd been hired to watch you, to report on your movements. The words hit her like a physical blow. She stepped back, her mind reeling. Hired by who? Richard Sterling. The betrayal cut deep, even though she'd known him for only days. So everything you've told me, everything you've done, was it real? Daniel reached for her, but she pulled away. Maya, I was supposed to report back to him. But when I saw what was happening, when I realized what kind of danger you were in, I couldn't. I saved you instead. Because you felt guilty? Because I was falling in love with you. The confession hung between them like a live wire. Maya felt tears she didn't understand burning behind her eyes. How can you love someone you don't even know? Because I've been watching you for weeks. I've seen you give your jacket to a homeless woman in freezing rain. I've watched you stay up all night in the hospital with a child whose parents couldn't be there. I've seen who you really are, Maya, and it's nothing like the cold businesswoman Richard described. Maya's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Found you. Time to come home. Daniel saw her face pale as she read it. What is it? Before she could answer, the lights went out. In the darkness, they heard footsteps on the stairs outside. Deliberate. Multiple people. Daniel, Maya whispered, fear making her voice shake. His hand found hers in the darkness, warm and steady. Trust me. I don't have a choice. You always have a choice. His thumb traced across her knuckles, a gesture so tender it broke something inside her chest. But if you come with me now, there's no going back. Once you know everything, you can never unknow it. The footsteps stopped outside the door. A soft knock, almost polite. Maya. Richard's voice, muffled but unmistakable. I know you're in there. Let's discuss this like civilized people. Daniel's grip on her hand tightened. In the darkness, she could barely make out his face, but she could feel the tension radiating from him like heat. There's a fire escape, he breathed against her ear. But we have to go now. Maya looked toward the door where Richard waited with unknown intentions, then back at Daniel, who'd saved her life and broken her trust in the same breath. Whatever my life was before, she whispered, I'm not that person anymore. I know. His voice was fierce with something that might have been pride. That's why they're so afraid of you. As they moved toward the window, Maya heard Richard's voice again. No longer polite. Maya, darling, you're making this much harder than it needs to be. You have something that belongs to me. Hidden evidence. The cabin in the mountains was supposed to be their sanctuary. For 3 weeks, Maya and Daniel had lived like ghosts, moving from safe house to safe house, while she slowly pieced together the fragments of her stolen life. The altitude made her dizzy. Or maybe it was the way Daniel looked at her when he thought she wasn't watching, like she was something precious he was afraid to break. I found something, Maya said, emerging from the bedroom where she'd been going through the files Daniel had rescued from her apartment. Her hands shook as she held up a flash drive. It was sewn into the lining of my purse. I must have hidden it there before the accident. Daniel looked up from the fireplace where he'd been building their dinner fire. In the golden light, his face was all sharp angles and careful control. What's on it? Everything. Maya's voice was hollow with the weight of revelation. Bank records, audio recordings, video footage. Richard wasn't just stealing from charities. He was running weapons through humanitarian shipments. Daniel stood slowly, his expression darkening. Maya, there's more. She pressed play on her laptop, and her own voice filled the cabin. A recording from before the accident. I have enough evidence to put Sterling away for life. I'm meeting with the FBI tomorrow. Richard can't know. If he finds out, he'll... The recording cut off abruptly. I was going to testify, Maya whispered. That's why he tried to kill me. Daniel crossed the room, his hands finding her shoulders. This changes everything. With this evidence, we can go to the authorities. We can end this. No. Maya pulled away, her eyes blazing. We can't trust anyone. Richard has connections everywhere. Police, judges, federal agents. That's all documented on this drive, too. The moment we surface, we're dead. Then what do you want to do? Maya looked at him, and in her eyes, Daniel saw something that made his blood run cold. Not fear, calculation. I want to finish what I started. I want to destroy him. Maya, that's not who you are. How do you know? Her voice cracked. Maybe the woman I was before the accident was weak. Maybe she played by the rules and look where it got her. Almost dead, her memory stolen, her entire life a lie. Daniel grabbed her wrists, gentle but firm. Listen to me. Revenge won't give you back what you lost. It'll only take away what you have left. And what do I have left? Tears streamed down her face now. I don't remember my friends, my family, the person I used to be. All I have is this. She gestured to the flash drive. And you. And I don't even know if I can trust you. The words hung between them, sharp and cutting. Daniel released her, stepping back like she'd struck him. You're right. You can't trust me. I lied to you. I watched you. I was part of the machine that tried to destroy you. Daniel. But I'm here now. His voice was raw with emotion. I'm here and I'm not leaving. Even if you hate me, even if you never forgive me, I will keep you safe. Maya's phone buzzed on the table. Another message. I know where you are. Both of you. Come back and I'll let him live. Her hands went numb. He knows about the cabin. Daniel was already moving, grabbing their emergency bags, pulling weapons from hidden compartments. How long do we have? I don't know. Daniel, what if he hurts someone to get to me? What if he goes after the people I can't remember? My family, my friends. He won't. Richard wants you alive. He needs that flash drive. Then I'll give it to him. Maya's voice was suddenly calm, terrifyingly calm. I'll trade myself for their safety. Absolutely not. It's not your decision. Daniel crossed the room in 3 strides, his hands framing her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. I will not let you sacrifice yourself. Not for me, not for anyone. We survive this together or not at all. Why? Maya's voice broke. Why do you care so much about someone you barely know? Because when I pulled you from that wreckage, covered in blood and glass, you looked at me and said, save them first. There was no one else in the car, Maya. But even dying, you were thinking about saving someone else. That's when I knew. You were worth saving, worth protecting, worth. He didn't finish. Couldn't finish. Maya closed the distance between them, her lips finding his in a kiss that tasted like desperation and promises neither of them could keep. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, she rested her forehead against his. If we don't make it out of this, we will. But if we don't, I need you to know. These 3 weeks with you have felt more real than anything I can remember from my entire life. The sound of approaching vehicles shattered the moment. Daniel grabbed her hand. Time to run. But as they reached the back door, Maya stopped. On the security monitor, she could see the convoy of black SUVs surrounding the cabin, 15, maybe 20 men, all armed. And standing in front, illuminated by headlights, was Richard Sterling. He was holding a photograph. Even on the grainy monitor, Maya could see who it was. A young girl, maybe 6 years old, with Maya's eyes. I have a daughter, Maya breathed, her entire world tilting. Daniel, I have a daughter. Richard's voice crackled through a megaphone. Maya, I know you can hear me. Come out, bring the flash drive, and your daughter stays safe. You have 5 minutes to decide. After that, well, accidents happen to children every day. The choice Maya's hands shook as she stared at the photograph of the little girl she couldn't remember. How is this possible? Why didn't anyone tell me I had a daughter? Daniel's face had gone pale. Maya, there's something you need to know. Something I found in your files but didn't tell you. What? Her voice was barely a whisper. Your daughter, Emma. She's not just your daughter. She's Richard's daughter, too. The words detonated like a bomb in her chest. What? You and Richard were engaged. 5 years ago, before you found out what he was doing. You broke it off when you were 3 months pregnant, and he's been trying to control you ever since. Using Emma as leverage. Maya felt the room spin. Every certainty she'd built over the past 3 weeks crumbled to dust. You knew. This entire time you knew I had a child and you didn't tell me. I was trying to protect you. By lying? By keeping me from my own daughter? Her voice rose, sharp with betrayal. You're just like him. Using information, manipulating me, deciding what I should and shouldn't know about my own life. That's not fair. Fair? Maya laughed, a broken sound. My daughter is out there with a man who tried to kill me, and you kept her existence from me. You don't get to talk about fair. Richard's voice crackled through the megaphone again. 4 minutes, Maya. Daniel grabbed her shoulders. Listen to me. Emma is safe. She's with your sister in Portland. That photograph is old. He's bluffing. How do you know? Because I've been having someone watch her, making sure Richard couldn't get to her. I was going to tell you, but I wanted you to remember her on your own. I wanted you to. You wanted to play God with my life. Maya pulled away from him, her decision crystallizing. I'm going out there. No, he wants the flash drive. He can have it, but I'm getting my daughter's location confirmed first. Maya, the moment you walk out that door, he'll kill you. The flash drive won't matter. You're the only witness who can testify against him. Then I'll make sure I'm not the only witness. Maya's fingers flew across her laptop keyboard. Within seconds, she'd uploaded the entire contents of the flash drive to a secure server, set to automatically release to every major news outlet and law enforcement agency if she didn't enter a password every 12 hours. Dead man's switch, she said. If he kills me, the evidence goes public. Daniel stared at her with something that might have been awe or terror. You're brilliant and absolutely insane. I'm a mother. Maya's voice was steel. And I'm done hiding. She walked to the door, flash drive in hand. Daniel caught her wrist. Then I'm coming with you. No. If this goes wrong, someone needs to make sure Emma knows the truth about what happened, about who her mother really was. Maya. She kissed him then, hard and desperate and final. Thank you, she whispered against his lips, for saving me, for showing me I was worth saving, for making me want to fight for something again. Don't talk like this is goodbye, isn't it? Before he could answer, she was gone. The cold mountain air hit her like a slap as she walked out of the cabin, hands raised, flash drive visible. Laser sights immediately dotted her chest. 20 red points of potential death. Richard stood in front of his men, immaculate in his suit despite the remote location. Maya, I was beginning to think you'd make me do something regrettable. Where's my daughter? Safe for now. The flash drive. Maya held it up but didn't move closer. First, I want proof she's okay. Video call. Now. Richard smiled, and it was the smile of a predator who'd already won. Always so principled. It's what made you so useful and so dangerous. He pulled out his phone, tapped the screen. A video feed appeared. Emma, playing with dolls in a room Maya didn't recognize. Alive, unharmed. Relief flooded through her so intensely her knees almost buckled. Satisfied? Richard asked. Let her go. Take the drive, take me, but let her go. Oh, Maya, did you really think I'd hurt our daughter? She's the only thing that's kept me from putting a bullet in your head years ago. He gestured to his men. Bring her. 2 guards advanced. Maya didn't resist as they zip-tied her hands, took the flash drive. You know it won't matter, she said quietly. I've already made copies. If anything happens to me, everything goes public. Richard's smile never faltered. I know. That's why you're going to help me spin this. You'll stand beside me, tell the world how you were confused, traumatized, imagining conspiracies. You'll be the troubled woman who had a breakdown, and I'll be the devoted partner who never stopped looking for you. I'll never do that. You will, because if you don't, Emma doesn't just lose her mother. She loses her life. Do you understand? I'll make it look like an accident, a tragedy. and you'll spend the rest of your days knowing you chose pride over your daughter's survival." Maya felt something inside her break. Not her spirit. Something else. The last vestige of the woman she'd been trying so hard to remember. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay, I'll do whatever you want." Richard's triumph was almost physical. "I knew you'd see reason. Now let's get you cleaned up. We have a press conference to prepare for." As they led her toward the SUV, Maya caught movement in her peripheral vision. Daniel, positioning himself on the roof of the cabin, rifle in hand. Their eyes met for a fraction of a second. She shook her head microscopically. "Don't." But Daniel wasn't looking at her anymore. He was looking at Richard, and then everything went to hell. The shot rang out, but it didn't come from Daniel's rifle. It came from behind Richard, one of Richard's own men. Dropping his weapon, hands raised. "FBI," the man said, pulling out credentials. "Richard Sterling, you're under arrest." All around them, Richard's men were throwing down their weapons, revealing badges, FBI windbreakers. Maya's mind reeled. Richard's face went from triumph to confusion to pure rage in seconds. "What is this? An undercover operation?" the lead agent said. "We've been infiltrating your organization for 6 months, and Ms. Torres has been helping us the entire time." Maya felt her world tilt again. "What?" The agent looked at her with something like respect. "You don't remember, do you? Before your accident, you came to us. You'd been working with us to build a case against Sterling. The accident derailed everything, but the investigation continued." Richard lunged toward Maya, but agents tackled him before he could reach her. "You!" he snarled. "This was you, all of it. Even with your memory gone, you destroyed me." Maya stared at him. This man who'd fathered her child and tried to kill her, and felt nothing but exhaustion. "No," she said quietly. "You destroyed yourself. I just made sure everyone could see it." As they loaded Richard into a vehicle, Daniel appeared beside her. An agent cut her zip ties. "You knew," Maya said to him, "about the FBI, about my cooperation with them. I suspected. But I couldn't be sure, and I couldn't risk telling you in case it wasn't safe. More lies. More protection." Daniel's voice was rough. "Maya, everything I've done, I know." She turned to face him, and for the first time in weeks, she felt like she could breathe. "I know, Daniel, and I don't know if I can forgive you for the lies. But I know you saved my life, multiple times. That has to count for something. What happens now?" The lead FBI agent approached. "Ms. Torres, we need you to come with us. There's debriefing, testimony to prepare. And," he hesitated, "your daughter is on her way here. Your sister is bringing her. We thought you'd want to see her. Emma, her daughter, a little girl she'd given birth to, loved, protected, and couldn't remember." Maya looked at Daniel, and in his eyes, she saw the question he was too afraid to ask. "Will you stay?" she whispered. "Until I remember? Until I figure out who I'm supposed to be?" Daniel's hand found hers. "I'll stay as long as you need me, however long that is. Even if I'm never the person I was before, especially then." His thumb traced circles on her palm. "Because I don't want the woman you were. I want the woman you're becoming." As the sun began to rise over the mountains, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson, Maya saw a car approaching. Her sister stepped out, and then a small figure with dark curls in Maya's eyes. "Mommy?" The word broke her heart and put it back together in the same instant. Maya dropped to her knees as Emma ran toward her, and when her daughter crashed into her arms, something clicked into place. Not a memory, something deeper, something that had never forgotten. "I'm here, baby," Maya whispered into her daughter's hair. "I'm here, and I'm never leaving you again." Over Emma's shoulder, she met Daniel's eyes. In them, she saw a future neither of them had planned. Complicated, uncertain, but real. And for the first time since waking up in that hospital room, Maya felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. The aftermath. 6 months later. Maya stood in front of the courthouse, spring rain misting her face. The trial had lasted 3 months. Richard Sterling had been sentenced to 30 years for fraud, weapons trafficking, attempted murder, and a dozen other charges that would ensure he'd never see freedom again. Emma tugged on her hand. "Can we get ice cream now, Mommy?" Maya smiled down at her daughter, 6 years old and utterly oblivious to the weight of what had just happened inside that building. "Yes, baby, we can get ice cream." Daniel waited by the car, hands in his pockets, looking uncertain in a way that made her heart ache. They'd spent these 6 months in a strange dance. Close but not too close. Intimate but not committed. He'd been there for every doctor's appointment, every memory therapy session. Every night Emma woke from nightmares, but they'd never talked about what they were to each other. "Your memory," Daniel said as they drove toward Emma's favorite ice cream shop. "Has anything come back?" Maya watched the city pass by the window. The streets felt familiar now, but not because she remembered them. Because she'd relearned them, one block at a time. Pieces, fragments, nothing concrete. She turned to look at him. "The doctors say it might never fully return. The trauma was too severe. I'm sorry. Don't be." Maya's voice was surprisingly light. "The woman I was before lived in fear, trapped by Richard's manipulation, terrified for her daughter. Maybe forgetting was a gift. A chance to become someone stronger. They got ice cream." Emma chattered about school, about her best friend Sophie, about the new puppy Maya had finally agreed to adopt. Normal things, beautiful things. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the park where they sat, Emma climbed down from the bench and ran toward the playground. "Stay where I can see you," Maya called. "I will, Mommy." Alone with Daniel, Maya felt the weight of 6 months of unspoken words pressing down on them. "I'm leaving," Daniel said quietly. The words hit her like a physical blow. "What?" "I've been offered a position, overseas, training paramedics in disaster zones. It's what I always wanted to do before." He gestured vaguely. "Before everything. Before me. Before I met you and couldn't imagine being anywhere else." His voice was rough with emotion. "But Maya, you don't need me anymore. You've rebuilt your life. You have Emma, your sister, your work at the charity. You're not the broken woman I pulled from that wreckage. So you're leaving because I'm not broken anymore? I'm leaving because you deserve someone who didn't lie to you, who didn't watch you, who didn't fall in love with you while being paid to betray you." Maya stood, her hands trembling with anger and something else, something that felt dangerously close to desperation. "You don't get to make that choice for me, Maya. No, listen to me." She moved closer, forcing him to meet her eyes. "You're right. I'm not the woman you pulled from that car. I'm not the woman Richard manipulated and controlled. I'm not even the woman who worked with the FBI to take him down. I'm someone new. Someone I'm still figuring out. Exactly. And you need space to figure that out without you?" Maya's voice cracked. "Daniel, do you know what I remember from the accident?" "Not the impact. Not the pain. I remember your voice, telling me to stay, telling me not to close my eyes. That was the first thing I heard in this new life. Your voice, pulling me back. That doesn't mean I love you." The words hung between them, stark and undeniable. Daniel's expression crumbled. "You can't. You don't even know me." "Not really. I know you saved my life twice. Once from that car, once from Richard. I know you've been there every single day since, never asking for anything. I know Emma calls you Danny and runs to you before she runs to me sometimes. I know when I wake up from nightmares, it's your face I want to see. Maya, I lied to you. I betrayed you. And then you spent 6 months earning back my trust. Every single day, showing up, being patient, letting me set the pace." She reached up, cupping his face in her hands. "You think you're the same man Richard hired? You're not. That man would have turned me over to him. That man would have walked away when things got complicated. You stayed. I had to. Love me?" Maya finished. "Because I know you do. I can see it every time you look at me. Like I'm something precious. Like I'm worth protecting. Like I matter." Daniel's hands came up to cover hers. "You do matter. You're everything. Then stay." Maya's voice was barely a whisper. "Stay and let me figure out who I am with you beside me. Not behind me. Not protecting me from the shadows. Beside me. What if you remember everything one day? What if you remember the woman you were before and she doesn't want me? Then we'll deal with it then. But right now, in this moment, I'm choosing you. Not the man who watched me. Not the man who lied. The man who stayed. The man who believed I was worth saving. The man I want to build a future with. Daniel pulled her closer, resting his forehead against hers. I don't deserve you. Probably not. Maya smiled through her tears. But you're going to spend the rest of your life trying to. And I'm going to let you. When they kissed, it tasted like promises. Like second chances. Like a future neither of them had planned but both of them wanted. Mommy.
Danny, come push me on the swings!
Emma's voice carried across the playground, pure and uncomplicated. Maya pulled back, looking at the man who'd saved her life in more ways than one. Ready to push a 6-year-old on swings for the next hour? Daniel's smile was the first genuine one she'd seen in weeks. I can't think of anything I'd rather do. As they walked toward Emma together, Maya felt something settle in her chest. Not a memory, not a return to who she'd been, but something new, something that felt like coming home. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring. Didn't know if her memories would ever fully return. Didn't know if loving Daniel was wise or reckless or somewhere in between. But she knew this. She was Maya Torres, mother, survivor, warrior, and she was choosing her own path forward. For the first time in her life, that felt like enough. Daniel's hand found hers as they reached the swings. Hey, he said softly. Hey. Thank you. For what? For letting me stay. For giving me a chance to be the man you deserve. Maya squeezed his hand. Thank you for being willing to try. As Emma shrieked with delight on the swings, her laughter carrying across the evening air, Maya looked at the two people who made up her entire world. A daughter she'd fought to protect. A man who'd fought to save her. This was her life now. Not the one she'd lost. Not the one she'd forgotten. The one she'd chosen. Higher, Danny. Push me higher! Daniel laughed, a sound Maya had learned to treasure over these months. He pushed Emma's swing with gentle strength, always careful, always present. Maya pulled out her phone, capturing the moment. Not to remember it later, but to have proof it was real, that happiness could exist after trauma, that love could bloom in the ruins of betrayal. Later, after Emma had been tucked into bed with her favorite stuffed rabbit, Maya and Daniel sat on her apartment balcony. The city stretched before them, lights twinkling like earthbound stars. I canceled the job, Daniel said suddenly. Maya turned to him, surprise flickering across her face. What? Daniel, you didn't have to. I wanted to. He met her eyes, and in them, she saw vulnerability and determination in equal measure. I've spent my whole life running, from one disaster zone to another. Always the hero who shows up, saves people, and disappears before they can get too close. Before I could get too close. And now I want to stay still. I want to be here when Emma loses her first tooth. I want to be here when you have nightmares. I want to be here for the boring days, the quiet moments, the ordinary happiness. He reached for her hand. If you'll have me. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. Daniel Cross, are you asking me to let you be ordinary? I'm asking you to let me be yours. She kissed him then, soft and slow and full of promise. When they broke apart, she was smiling. There's something I need to tell you, she said. Something I haven't told anyone. Daniel tensed slightly, preparing himself. I had a memory come back. Last week. What kind of memory? The night before the accident. I was in my apartment, hiding the flash drive in my purse, and I recorded a video message, just in case something happened to me. What did you say? Maya pulled out her phone, opened a file the FBI had returned to her during the trial. She pressed play. Her own face appeared on the screen, but it was different. The woman in the video had haunted eyes, a brittle smile, the weight of fear pressing down on her shoulders. If you're watching this, I'm probably dead. Or worse. But I need you to know something. I need whoever finds this to understand. The recorded Maya paused, gathering courage. I've spent 5 years living in fear. Fear of Richard. Fear of what he'd do to Emma. Fear of what he'd do to me. And I'm tired of being afraid. So tomorrow, I'm going to the FBI. I'm going to tell them everything. And if he kills me for it, at least I died trying to do the right thing. Another pause. Then the recorded Maya smiled. and it was genuine. To whoever is watching this, to my sister, to Emma when she's old enough to understand, to anyone who cares, don't mourn me. Don't let Richard win by making my death mean nothing. Take this evidence, finish what I started, and make sure Emma knows her mother loved her enough to fight. The video ended. Maya and Daniel sat in silence for a long moment. That woman, Maya said softly. The one in the video. I see her now, and I recognize her. Not as me exactly, but as someone I could have been, someone brave and broken and trying her best. She was incredible, Daniel said. She was terrified, Maya corrected. But she did it anyway, and I think that's what I want to take from her. From the woman I was, not the memories, not the fear, just the courage to keep fighting, to keep choosing love over fear, life over survival. Daniel pulled her closer, and she rested her head on his shoulder. You know what the strangest part is? Maya said. I spent months wishing I could remember. Desperate to know who I was before, but now, I think maybe the accident was a strange kind of gift, a chance to decide who I want to be, without the weight of who I was. Do you really believe that? Maya thought about it. About Richard behind bars. About Emma sleeping peacefully in the next room. About Daniel beside her, solid and real and choosing to stay. Yes, she said. I do. They sat together as the city hummed below them. Two people scarred by the same trauma, choosing each other despite everything that should have kept them apart. I have one more question, Daniel said after a while. What? The woman in the video, the one who hid evidence and worked with the FBI and decided to risk everything to stop Richard. What would she think of us? Of this? Maya smiled. I think she'd be grateful that someone saw her worth saving, that her daughter gets to grow up safe, that the evidence she hid brought down the man who tried to destroy her. She turned to look at Daniel. I think she'd tell me I chose well, yeah. Yeah. As the clock struck midnight, marking the beginning of a new day, Maya realized something profound. She'd spent 6 months trying to remember her past, when what she really needed was to forgive it. To honor it, and then to let it go. The woman she was before the accident had saved her. Hidden evidence, worked with the FBI, created the foundation for everything that came after. And the woman she was now got to live the life that woman had fought for. It was enough. More than enough. It was everything. I love you, Maya whispered into the night. Daniel kissed the top of her head. I love you too. Both versions of you, the one I'll never meet, and the one I get to keep. And in that moment, on a balcony overlooking a city full of second chances, Maya Torres finally came home. Not to a place, not to a memory, to herself, the end.